planting diagram, but this roof is 5,200 square feet, and we planted 9,600 individual sedum plants in 8 varieties up here. The drainage layer is entirely recycled materials. It's post-consumer crushed bottle glass. It's chopped up green nylon pallet banding, and it's chopped up vinyl window frames all mixed together. We were trying out different things to see what worked well for a drainage layer, and you know, we learned some stuff. The pallet banding was a disaster. We won't do that again. It's too slippery. And then there's 4 inches of growing media up here, which is shale, clay, and slate expanded and mixed with only 5% organic material, so it's really Martian inorganic stuff. And the idea there is you're setting the threshold of survivability so high that only sedum can make it, and unfortunately spurge, which is a weed that we've had a lot of trouble with on this roof. But the sedum thrives in this. November now. Tomorrow it's going to be 60 degrees. Oh well. In May and even in April, this starts blooming, and it's full of beautiful colors. It's been in for 3 years now, and we never water it. It's a zero maintenance green roof. And once again, this was paid for by a City of Chicago Small Business Improvement Fund grant, which is really a rebate. You do the work, and then you get 75% reimbursement after you do the work. I made some trades with a roofing supply company that has cranes, and they happen to also have a homeless shelter in Uptown. It's run by the Jesus People USA, and they run a big homeless shelter for women and children on the north side. And so they donated the crane for 3 days of crane up services here, and a driver. And I wrote a check to the homeless shelter for the equivalent value of what it would have cost me to rent the crane. So the homeless shelter got a big check. I got a tax write-off, and you know, it's kind of a win-win situation. So that worked out pretty darn well. At the front you see some barrels there. Those are former vinegar barrels that I got from our neighbor here, who's a barrel distributor. And this year we grew beans, hyacinth and purple runner beans in those barrels, and the goal was to grow them out over a stainless steel wire cornice that we built. We fabricated entirely in-house, which didn't quite work because the beans don't like to grow down at all. But we tried. It was an experiment, and it was kind of fun. I'm told there are some other vines that will do that, and maybe next year we'll try something else and grow something else in those planters and make the green cornice that way. It was a great idea. So, so let's see. Well, we probably can't really see it, but when we go back in the staircase, we have raised bed growing in the backyard here, quite a bit of it, and all of that is done by the tenants in the building. So I provide the space, and I bought some materials like mulch and truckload of soil or compost, and then the tenants all came and made their vegetable gardens and a little fire pit there, and that's worked out just great. A lot of food came out of the yard this year. And then there's a little planter garden going on down here too. This is down here is a lovely little in the city garden space that's very pleasant. And I think buildings should have amenities like that whenever possible, especially manufacturing buildings. It's really nice to have a place where the tenants in the building can go and hang out and be comfortable and have some greenery around them for a while. Well, we're up here. This big company to the northwest, is Schultze and Birch Baking, and that's a 24/7 2-square city block bakery that makes toastums and granola bars and all that sort of stuff. And they've been a good partner of ours in a lot of ways. They've been very helpful. They actually have a director of sustainability, which is fairly unusual for a bakery. They've been donating giant food-grade pallet-mounted totes, 275-gallon plastic tanks that are HDPE, for us to use as fish tanks. And so they use about 20 of them a week. They receive materials in about 20 of those a week, and they've just been sending them our direction because we're using them for fish tanks and for filters and sedimentation tanks and all sorts of things. They're also going to start sending us sediment from one of their process tanks to put directly into our anaerobic digester once we get that running at the other building. So they're trying to start, along with us, trying to restart the waste to profit network here in the Stockyards district on the food side. So because there's a lot of food waste that could be inputs to something else, and those guys really get it, and they've been fabulous. So it's great to have a neighbor like that. With that, let's